They went quiet the moment you walked in. Not because you said something, because you didn't have to. Someone over-explained. Someone laughed too fast. Someone couldn't hold your eye for more than 2 seconds. And you went home wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You did something rarer. Most people think intimidation comes from aggression, loud voices, big gestures, forced dominance. But that's the obvious kind, the kind nobody's actually afraid of. The real kind? It's quiet. It walks in calmly. It doesn't ask for the room, and the room hands it over anyway. Harvard social psychologist Amy Cuddy spent over a decade studying this, what she calls presence. Not performance, not power posing for show, just the unsettling effect of someone who is fully, uncomfortably themselves in a world where most people are pretending. Psychologists call the effect nonverbal psychological dominance. And here's the twist. The people who have it almost never know they have it. So today, 8 signs you intimidate people without knowing it. Stay till sign 8. It's the one nobody talks about, and it explains everything. Sign 1. You don't chase approval, and people can feel it. There's something deeply unsettling about someone who genuinely doesn't need to be liked. Not cold, not arrogant, just complete. Most people are constantly scanning the room for cues. Am I okay? Did they laugh? Should I soften that? You're not. And humans are wired to notice the one person who isn't seeking. Self-containment reads as authority. You didn't claim power, you just stopped giving it away. And here's the kicker. The brain is wired to follow whoever needs the group least. Anthropologists call it status by indifference. The moment you stop performing for approval, you accidentally become the gravitational center of the room. You didn't rise. Everyone else just leaned in. Sign 2. You're comfortable in silence. Watch a normal conversation. The second silence hits, somebody scrambles to fill it. A joke, so anyway, a nervous laugh. You don't. You let the silence sit there like furniture. To you, it's peaceful. To them, it's a Rorschach test. They start projecting. Are they judging me? Are they bored? Did I say something wrong? You weren't doing any of that. But silence, in a culture addicted to noise, feels like a verdict. Studies on conversational dynamics show the average person can only tolerate about 4 seconds of silence before panicking. You can tolerate 40. That gap isn't awkwardness, it's a power vacuum, and whoever stays calmest inside it quietly runs the conversation. Sign 3. People over-explain themselves around you, and you never asked. You ask one simple question, you get a 3-minute defense. You weren't accusing anyone, you were curious. But there's something in the way you listen, fully, without interrupting, without nodding along just to be polite, that makes people feel evaluated. Psychologists call this evaluative presence. You're not judging, you're just present. And presence is so rare now that the brain confuses it with scrutiny. Sign 4. You don't break eye contact first. Not as a power move, you just look. Research on nonverbal behavior, going back to Mehrabian's work at UCLA, shows that prolonged eye contact dramatically increases perceived dominance and confidence, even when the person isn't trying. You're not trying, but real eye contact makes people feel seen, and being truly seen is something most adults haven't experienced since childhood. So they flinch, they glance away, and then they think you did something. Neuroscientists at Cambridge found that sustained eye contact activates the same brain regions involved in self-reflection. Translation, when you hold someone's gaze, you literally force their brain to look at itself. No wonder they look away. You didn't stare them down, you handed them a mirror. Sign 5. You say no without a paragraph attached. Most people say no like they're filing a legal appeal. I'm so sorry, I would love to, but the thing is... You don't. You say no. Maybe a thanks for thinking of me. That's it. No guilt tour, no apology spiral. And here's why that unsettles people. They've spent their whole lives softening their no's. So when they meet someone who doesn't, it feels almost rebellious. You're not being rude. You're being clear. And clarity, in a world of hedging, Sounds like a thunderclap. And there's a hidden cost to that clarity. People stop asking you for things they wouldn't dare ask twice. You filter out the manipulators, the favor collectors, the energy vampires. They don't avoid you because you're harsh. They avoid you because a clean no is the one weapon they can't argue with. Sign 6. You notice what others miss, and they can tell. You walk into a room, and within 10 seconds, you know who's tense, who's lying, and who actually wants to be there. You don't announce it. You don't even mean to do it. But people who are performing feel it instantly. Your awareness removes their mask without you lifting a finger. They came in costume. You came in real. And nothing terrifies a performer like an audience that isn't clapping along. Psychologists call this pattern recognition under social load, and it's a trait consistently found in people raised in unpredictable environments. Your radar wasn't a gift, it was built. Every micro-expression you catch today, you learned to catch because once upon a time, missing one had a cost. Sign 7. You don't react when other people would. Someone drops bad news, the group panics. You don't. Someone insults you sideways, everyone braces. You just consider it, like you're tasting wine. Your nervous system doesn't fire on every spark. Psychologists call this affect regulation, and it's one of the most consistent traits of people perceived as high status, going back to Daniel Goleman's research on emotional intelligence. You weren't trying to look composed, you just genuinely weren't rattled. But to a room full of people running on adrenaline, your stillness looks almost supernatural. And there's a reason it looks supernatural. Emotions are contagious. Researchers call it emotional contagion. In any group, the calmest nervous system in the room becomes the thermostat. You're not absorbing their panic, you're rewriting it. Without saying a single word, you become the room's center of gravity. And here's the one nobody talks about. You feel everything way more deeply than people realize. Behind the calm, behind the silence, behind the steady eye contact and the easy no, there's someone whose nervous system is processing the entire room at once. Every micro-expression, every shift in tone, every word that wasn't said. Psychologist Dr. Elaine Aron, who pioneered the research on this in the 1990s, calls it sensory processing sensitivity, and her studies estimate it shows up in roughly 15 to 20% of the population. It's not weakness, it's bandwidth. Your brain takes in more input than average, processes it deeper, and stores it longer. That's why your presence carries weight, because depth is felt before it's understood. People can't articulate why they affect you, they just know you do. And that, more than anything else on this list, is what makes you quietly, accidentally, unforgettable. So here's the real twist. You were never trying to intimidate anyone. You weren't playing a game. You weren't performing dominance. You just forgot to pretend. In a world that rewards performance, you stayed real. In a room full of people adjusting themselves to fit in, you didn't. And that alone was enough to shift the air. You are not too much. You are not cold. You are not difficult. You're just running a different operating system, and most people haven't updated theirs in years. Now I want to know, which of these 8 hit the hardest? Was it the silence, the eye contact, or sign 8, the one nobody warned you about? Drop the number in the comments.